Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with Jim Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a pretty large nymph. This is a size 10, 3 extra long curved shank hook. This is going to be a Krystal dub pheasant tail. I have a 3mm tungsten bead on there from Lively Legs, and this is Mettalic Coffee. It's a really nice color. It is the first time I've seen it, and I think that Mettalic Coffee lends itself nice to pheasant tails. It comes pretty close to those pheasant tail colors, but I'm going to add more weight on there. And this size 10, this I'm tying this with SteelHead in mind. It's a nice big nymph. So I'm going to use this 20 thousandths lead-free wire, and I'm going to wrap just the thorax area. There's about 15 wraps there. Then pop that off and push that inside, and then you can go ahead and take the excess off the back. I'm going to use, this is 12-aught. This is a dark tan thread. This is Vivus. Going to start that thread behind those lead wraps and push those lead wraps into the bead. I'm going to bring that thread back down slightly around the curve. Always hold that thread at a 45. You get those nice tight wraps fast. And we could stop just about where the barb of the hook is. I'm going to leave the barb on with the intent of catching SteelHead. Now I'm going to take my pheasant tail center, and this being a fairly large fly, I'm going to take quite a few, maybe about a dozen of the strands from the pheasant tail center for the tail. Make sure that you got them lined up, and usually just by moving your fingers like this will line them up. But I messed up the back section here. When they're all still married together, they're easier to line up. So I want that tail to be about half the length of the body. I'm going to go ahead and give that a loose loop, a couple loose loops. Check the length of your tail, because then you can go ahead and adjust the length. Going to wrap back on that pheasant tail, hold it back and wrap it in. That's going to be the abdomen. Going to take an extra fine copper wire. It depends how much of the rib you want to show. If you want more of a flash on there, go ahead and use a larger wire. And we're going to tie that in and bring that thread up near the lead wraps or the thorax area. I'm going to put my pheasant tail in my hackle pliers. These hackle pliers are very simple. This is an electric tester. There was a wire in there, and then there was, on the other end of the wire was the same thing. Probably get them at places similar to Radio Shack. We're going to wrap this. Give it a little twist. Helps to keep it from coming apart. And wrap it one wrap, tight touch and turns. bring that right up to that thorax, and then we're going to tie that down. Make sure you keep that tension on there. I'm going to wrap these a little bit forward. So I'm going to wrap them all because it doesn't look like they're going to be too long. And by wrapping them, I actually cover a lot of the lead wraps. So we take the rib and we're going to counter wrap that, being the opposite direction that we wrapped our pheasant tail, and that will lock them in. And I get to the top of the abdomen and tie them in, and with that extra fine wire I just snap them right off. Now I'm going to bring that thread up to the front. Now, because this is such a large fly, I'm going to take a similar amount, probably as much as I did for the abdomen. And I'm actually going to take 2 sections of this. Make sure those tips are lined up. I'm going to tie in one on each side in the front. These are going to be the legs. Give it a couple of looser turns and then move it to the side and lock them in. Going to take another bunch, similar amount, line them tips up by standing them off at a 90 degree and then pull them. Those tips should be pretty much lined up. I'm going to tie in for the closer side, measure them up to the others, give it a loose turn, a couple loose turns, then you can adjust them, check for the correct size, and then go ahead and wrap back. And this is going to be your wing case. Now I'm going to take my Black Rabbit Krystal dub and I'm going to dub a pretty heavy thorax. Although we have a thicker thorax with the lead wire, we still want to wrap it a little heavier because we want to make a nice plump thorax in comparison to the thin abdomen. Gives you a nice profile. Probably going to use a couple of dubbing noodles. If you make your own Krystal dub, I make mine. I use Black Rabbit and I used Pearl GSS. You chop up the Pearl GSS and chop up the rabbit, and however you use, if you use a coffee grinder to mix it, I use my fingers and get that pretty good. Make sure that when the dubbing that's going to be on the outside, try to make sure that you get a good amount of the Pearl GSS in there. I'm going to bring that up to the top. I'm going to take my legs and pull them back, one and then the other. And I come back on them there. Now before I go ahead and fold the wing case over, I'm going to put a little bit more dubbing on there. Just a smaller amount because I probably covered some of the dubbing with the thread when I wrapped those legs back. Now I'm going to take my wing case and fold that over. You're going to have a nice thick wing case there. Try to get it flat if you could. Make sure that way it flattens out over the back of the body, or the back of the thorax there, for a nice fattish wing case. You can see there. Put a few wraps in. Wrap a few times in front. Now we can remove the excess. And one last time I'm going to put a little bit more dubbing on there. And this I'm going to put a bit of a skinnier noodle on there. You can take that little clump there and kind of hold it back just to hide that. And pull all of that dubbing and everything back, and now we're getting our thread right in back of that bead. Take our whip finish, tug that up tight. Ooh, I could feel that one pulled very nicely right on in the back. Then we can remove the excess. Got a wild hair. There we go. Take our head cement, and you can put it right on the back side of that bead. You can even get some on your wing case. And check it out. I'm going to take my dubbing teaser and pluck that out just a little bit, just to kind of get some more of those that crystal dub showing. Maybe cut off a couple of those long ones. Like I said, I got SteelHead in mind for this fly. It's a nice size. It's a large Nymph. I think that'll work great on the SteelHead. So here we have a large crystal dub pheasant tail with the Lively Legs metallic coffee bead. Hope that you learned something from my videos. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, and most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.